Nice to see you. Oh, I just
All right.
probably just drilled your mic through your chest there. Please
All
make
right.
yourself comfortable.
I'm going to do that.
Sorry. Great. Thank you very much for coming all the way up from LA. We had a great dinner last night. We maybe had a little bit, an extra glass of wine more than we should have. But I'm very grateful that you're on the show today. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate it. And if you get a chance to go out with Chase, he's very generous with filling your wine glass. That I can tell you.
Awesome. All right.
Firsthand experience.
Yeah, we were using the Advil this morning. Okay, so actually, the first things first, I want to hold up the book that I read. Actually, I'll tell the backstory in just a second, but here's the book, Pitch Anything, by Mr. Ohrenkopf. It's an innovative method for presenting, persuading, and winning the deal. Notice it doesn't say selling. And that was, again, I'll sort of reframe that. Selling makes us feel sort of gross, right? And pitching, however, is packaging an idea and it's getting people to listen to what it is that you have to say. And they're very different. So start me off, tell me a little bit about the difference between those things.
Right. From my background, I got put in very difficult sales situations. And very early on, I learned I hate selling. Saying things that you may have somebody told you to say along the way.
Like a script or something.
Script.
BS, yeah.
So, Mr. Jones, would you like it in red or green? If this was the price, would you take it today? Right? I mean, all those things that are selling are really rejection control, right? So somebody rejects you, and you try and control their rejection.
Yeah, you're trying to mitigate the pain.
Right, it's pain mitigation. And after every selling situation, it felt like I was slimed, like I needed to take a shower. There had to be a better way. And for me, it came in that I got a partner, and we did large deals.
Sure.
So he would give me the job of raising money.
Got it.
So he'd say, in 35 days, you need to raise $6 million for this project. There's no way to sell your way through that. You have to pitch. And pitching is very different. In selling, you get to kind of appeal to a customer many times over and make small adjustments to how they're reacting to you.
Can I summarize and say kiss their ass?
Kiss their ass.
Okay.
To supplicate.
That's a much better word, sorry.
And it's really, selling is a fairly low-level skill set. Mm-hmm. Anybody can do it, right? Because you get multiple
phone calls,
chances.
We get from Comcast.
You get to screw up, you get to try again. And you get multiple approaches. When you pitch, it's a much more demanding but powerful skill.
It's a performance.
It's a performance. It's packaging. It's performance. It all happens beforehand, and then you just unroll your performance. When you pitch, it's typically in situations you get one chance. You walk in the room with no power, no status, no real advantage. There's some people sitting in front of you, or maybe you do it on the phone,
right.
And they say, go, tell us what you have. And you have about 10 minutes, one-time chance to get their attention, communicate what you have, deliver the big idea, the value proposition, the economics, your differentiation, the creative, the sexiness, right? What the whole value package is, and then you have to leave. That's not selling.
Right.
That's pitching.
Okay, I love that's a very adroit articulation of the difference. One of the things that I wanted to address is, when I put this out there, pitch anything and how to sell your creative work. It's like creatives, they're I can say we have this aversion to pitching or selling because we just make our work, and I want to go on record by saying Andy Warhol's work became famous because he was one of the world's best at getting people's attention, and that's really the focus of what it is that we're talking about. And whether you're talking about Andy Warhol or Banksy or insert your favorite photographer or painter here, they all do it, and they all do it in a different way. So we're going to talk about some very specific things. You have your way. We'll probably have to tone it down because you're out there trying to score $100 million, and a bank might need you to act a certain way. But we have the ability to sort of to hone that and own our own ability. So if anyone talked trash in social media this week about selling, you need to get over yourself, because ultimately, if you want your work out there, if you want to make money, so that not everyone's just out there to paint in their basement, right? And no disrespect. I did that for years before I actually became a professional. But as a professional, you have to earn money. And in order to earn money, you have to get people to adopt your ideas.
So I think I want to key off of something you said, which is attention. That's all of this is, right? If somebody will pay attention to you for 4 hours, you're going to sell whatever it is you have.
That's right.
You know, a watercolor painting by your cat that you took a photograph of and then threw some paper mache and then put it in the washing machine, hung it out to dry for a week, drove the car over it and hung it up. If IBM will sit there and listen to you describe that poetically, mellifluously, in beautiful language for 4 or 5 hours, they're going to buy it.
I don't even know what that word means, but it sounded sexy.
That's right.
Mellifluously.
So the issue is they're not going to pay attention for 4 hours. They're not going to pay attention for 3 hours or 20 minutes, right? All of this is around capturing the attention of somebody who has the money or the means to pay for your stuff.
And that's what we have to learn as creative. It's the idea of selling is a dirty word in the industry, and by having this particular show and one of the other most popular shows, two other very, very popular shows, one was Tim Ferriss, the other was Ramit Sethi, and they both talked a lot about some of the things that we're going to talk about today, like pricing, for example. Before I go any further, he was just dropping some knowledge right there. If you hear anything, there's another contest that's going right now to win something that I want to tell these folks about. You, unfortunately, in the studio audience, you guys don't get to win today. Sorry, but you get coffee and donuts, which is a close second. But if you're out there in the internet, what we're doing right now is we're giving away an hour consultation with Oren, which is worth thousands of dollars. He consults for some very, very high-end individuals and companies. And if you hear a great quote, the idea is you put that quote plus hashtag CJ Live and a URL to this page or short URL, anything that comes here. And at the end of the show, we're going to pick the one that we like the most. I got Gerard back there on social media scouring, looking at all these tweets that are coming in, and you're going to win a hour with Oren. So let the games begin, and look forward to a lot of cool, sexy retweets. Now, back.
And Mom, do not, you're disqualified wherever you are.
Mom's out there with the red lights, right.
All right.
Okay, so one of the things that I think is fascinating is if you look in the book, which I'm not going to start open pages right now, but you talk about something that you call it the croc brain. And I'm gonna summarize it, and I think you should go into details because I'll blow it. And I'll tell you what it was like for me. So the croc brain is when you're trying to convey an idea to someone. Say you're a photographer and you're presenting your book in an ad agency, or you can fill in your own scenario. You're actually talking to a part of this person that is not necessarily rational. It's sort of animal. It's ready to be distracted. It's ready to flee or fight. It's a base core thing, and to be able to get their attention through all that noise, through their iPhone, through whatever it is they're playing with, it takes something special. So tell us first of all, how you got to the idea of the croc brain, and then I think we have some slides we can go to, so explain it to us a little bit.
So very quickly, how I got there was through pain, right? That's how anybody gets anywhere. Enough pain, and you're like, I got to make it stop. So for me, it would be to go into a company and pitch a deal, and sometimes they would love the presentation. You go somewhere else, give the same presentation, and they hated it. Well, it didn't make sense to me, and started getting really painful. Same pitch, work sometimes, not other times. Like flying. There was a show, Greatest American Hero.
I love that
anybody
one.
Remember it?
So, believe it or not, I'm walking on air.
I never. Right.
Okay.
So he had this. Aliens came down, and they left this super suit, and he would wear this super suit to fight crime. And sometimes he could fly, and other times he couldn't because he lost the instruction manual.
Got it.
And it felt like that. You put on the super suit. You go to jump up in the air. Sometimes, you soar. Other times, same suit, same run, jump in the air, boom, hit the ground. Why, right? So I hired a cognitive psychologist.
This is what every photographer does when their pitches aren't going well, right? They hire a cognitive psychologist.
Well, these are high-stakes situations,
oh, yeah, I
right?
understand.
So
I'm
it's
trying
worth
to,
doing.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
It's worth doing. So
okay, you hire this guy, and he tells you.
He says, you don't understand the human mind. I go, no, I study psychology and I read about all this, everything, all the books. He goes, no, you don't understand the biology of the human mind, right? So there is not one mind that you're pitching to, not one brain. The human brain has 3 pieces to it.
Okay. And this is where we maybe can put the slide up there, because the folks at home might want to see the slide. I don't know if we get to have it here. I think we probably do on the screen for these folks. But so there's 3 parts.
Yes, you can see there's 3 parts here. There is the primitive part of the brain, which is the crocodile brain. You see it at the bottom there on the slide. Then there's the midbrain, and then there's the neocortex. The neocortex is what we all think is the brain. It's smart, linguistic, problem-solving. That's what gets you up in the morning. You go, I want a donut and a coffee, and I'm going to go this way to work. I'm going to call my boss and tell him that I got to get up at 3 because I'm playing ultimate frisbee, and then I'm going to go snowboarding and then study calculus. It does all that, and then read Shakespeare, and then go to sleep, and that's the neocortex.
Got it.
Okay. Yes, we want to sell, pitch, reach the neocortex eventually. But all human messages first get interpreted through the primitive crocodile brain. So when the crocodile brain first meets you, it only thinks 3 things. So you come up and you say, hey, Oren, blah, 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 blah. My crocodile brain reacts in the following way. Here's something. Should I eat it? Should I kill it? Should I fuck it?
Okay.
Right? So that's the initial evaluation.
Got it.
Right? And then it starts focusing on a few other things which are primarily related to survival. So your messages that you give to anyone else in the initial phase are filtered through the survival part of the human mind. Right? And so most of the mistakes we make in getting people's attention are from freaking out the survival brain that is inside of every human.
Yeah, so they're measuring you basically, right? Like,
that's right.
not this person's 6 foot tall, but they're like, this person's going to be easy to work with. It's going to be hard to work with. They're going to be needy. They're of a high status or a low status. I don't have time for them. And it's making these base things that are, am I threatened by this person or like?
So that's right. Let's just talk about the brain. If we can put maybe the image back up for another minute.
Okay.
So this crocodile brain owns your physiology. Let me give you a quick example, right? So you are rustling through the backyard and you see a snake. You're like, ah, I see a snake. I'm scared. You start shaking. You see it coming at you, and you start freaking out.
I don't know where you live.
And sweating. Yeah.
Like you live
well,
in
we
the
live
desert in India.
We live in San Diego. We have snakes.
Okay, got it.
So you look in your backyard and you see. So anyway, your physiology starts freaking out.
Sure.
Then eventually your neocortex kicks in to try and understand the situation. Goes, it's not a snake. It's a stick.
Got it.
All right. So your smart problem-solving brain goes, I know what this is, but you are still shaking for minutes.
Yep.
That's because this crocodile brain owns your physiology, and once it gets scared, it shuts down everything.
Okay, so in the initial meeting of someone, though, we don't necessarily get scared in every encounter, right?
That's right.
What are some things that it does in the context of trying to get people to see your vision or understand your idea?
So here's the neocortex, which is what you want to talk to, consumes a lot of energy. Okay. It's by the brain, so it's 3% of the body by mass, but more than 20% by energy consumption.
Okay.
Consumes a lot of energy. So it has a rule set. Don't send me any problems that I've seen before. Okay? If something is confusing, right, I don't want to deal with it. If it's not visual, right, then I don't want to engage all the processing power to deal with it. If it is abstract and not concrete, then you deal with it down there. So to get past the crocodile brain up into the neocortex, things need to be done in a certain way. Fast, visual, concrete.
I think we have
novel.
a slide for this too.
There we go.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
So let me relate this.
Yeah.
This to me hits right to the heart of the matter, and we're only 15 minutes into the show because my own personal experience validates this. When I'm able to look someone across the table in the eye and say, why what it is that I've put my blood, sweat, tears, the thing that I've made, is incredibly valuable, and it's incredibly simple, and it's visual. And if they actually, I can tell if they want it. But if I have to talk for a long time,
that's right.
If I have to talk in a circle, if I have to show many charts and lots of graphs, then I feel like I have historically lost these people. Now, I'm not a chart and a graph guy. I'm a photographer, a visual artist, but I sense exactly what you're talking about. So that, when that little slide was up, is there a part of what it is, like your method that you can drill down, like do you ask people questions, or how do you get them to think simply, clearly, visually?
Right. So I think it's, anybody in this room or within the sound of our voice understands these concepts. Like, make it visual. Deliver the big idea fast. Get rid of abstraction so it's concrete. Avoid lots of details and make it novel, right? Novel. So nobody goes, not, maybe Star Wars, but people generally don't go see the same movie twice in a row. You've seen it, and you're like, I get it. Even if another movie has the same plot,
right?
People get mad at it and don't go see it.
I've seen this. This is Born Identity, but with a different guy.
That's right. Right. And so, and I know it's the same thing with creative work, right? You need to have a breakthrough because people want to see novel, intriguing, interesting ideas. This is the way I put it. Nobody goes to a meeting to hear about something they already know about. They go to a meeting to see something new, interesting, meet colorful people, hear about new ideas, exchange some of their own information with people they haven't met, and basically stir up and invigorate their ideas and learn and meet and get additional color into their lives. That's why people go to meetings. So, nobody goes to a meeting to hear about something they already know about.
Got it.
Okay.
So let me ask a question. Actually, speaking of question, I want you guys out there in the audience to start formulating your questions. I'm going to go out to the internet here in a little bit, so I want you, I don't know where the internet is, I think you're over there. We're taking your questions in the not too distant future. If you're just joining us now, I'm Chase Jarvis. Here on my couch is Oren Klaff, the author of Pitch Anything. And we'll be taking your questions at #CJLive via Twitter. So the point we're talking about now is like to focus on the novel. And these are like literally step-by-step things, right? When you walk into a room or when you have your portfolio and you're opening it to page one, what you need to be is you need to deliver this quickly. You need to deliver it in a way that is sexy. And the ideas in these pages have to be novel. The way I talk about it is you have to take a picture that no one else in the world can take and that this person has not seen again and again and again. So the mantra is don't be better, be different, because different by definition is novel, right?
That's right. So and you see people fall in this trap. They're different, but they give lots and lots of detail initially as to why it's different.
Don't do that.
Or it's not clear that it's concretely, substantially different from lots of other things. So we can talk more about the pitch, but this is a place to really get tripped up.
Got it.
Right? Initially, to meet someone, right, and fail to do any of these 5 things with your initial kind of 2 minutes. Fast, novel, concrete, visual, all right? If you step on any of those landmines, you're just going to have problems from the get-go.
Okay, so say if we're talking too much in the pitch, we walk in, hey, here's our great idea, and we're just like, talking, we go off in some rabbit hole of detail.
Yeah.
That's bad.
That's right.
If it's not novel, for example, is your work novel? And if your work isn't novel, then you need to go out and make novel work. In the same way that I've used this analogy before, if you're a pro golfer, you can't step up on the first tee and shank it. You have to hit the ball down the middle of the fairway, because that's what it means to be a pro golfer. So if you're a photographer, for example, or a painter, or a director, or whatever, the work has to be good. So if you can't get people's attention from novel work, go make novel work. Now, but having novel work doesn't necessarily guarantee it. That's the other part of your pitches, right? So it needs to be fast, it needs to be novel, it needs to be concrete. So talk to me about, like, they need to be able to understand it and how it relates to them, or what is concrete?
So we have a lot of guys that we see come and pitch us deals, right?
Sure.
And they're like, well, it could be this, or it could be that, or you could use it in this way, right? Or it could be adapted into this. That is incredibly confusing at the initial stages, right? This is what it is. We are taking photography of the biodiverse regions of Peru. We go there. Here's the big idea.
We go there.
We go there. We launch these remote control helicopters. We get 360-degree photography. Then we come back to home base. We stitch it together, and it's a never-before-seen visualization of biodiversity in Central and South America.
So it's one tightly packaged thing.
That's it.
Okay.
If you don't like that, this is not for you.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So I would say, let's go into what you call from your book, I'm ripping his words, called prizing. Okay, so what you just did right there was prizing, and I'm a student, so I'm learning this. And the part where he said, if you don't like this, it's no big deal. You know, he's a little bit more dramatic than I am. He likes to talk with his hands and stand up and pace because it's a different pace deal. But I would say, hey, you know, and if what I've put my heart and soul in isn't for you, like I need to know about this, because this is the work that I'm doing, and you don't ask me to do something just a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. Like this is what I believe in, and by casting yourself as the prize, I think that is talk to me about prizing for a second.
Yeah, let me talk about how I think about this. When I do a piece of creative work, and I do a lot of creative work, this book took me a year to write. It is a creative monster, right? Literally took a year off, burned through
He wrote it by hand.
buckets of ink. Wrote it by hand.
Wrote it by hand.
Didn't type any of it.
Not that he can't type. He knows how to type.
Okay.
He actually he wrote it.
There are, for publishers or people who buy creative, they have the money, right? Because they're running businesses and they need to buy
Work. Sure.
work.
Ad agencies, art directors, the people that we want to get our pictures in magazines, whatnot, they have budget to buy stuff.
The money is useless without you. All right? So what happens is we tend to go in and think, I have to win the prize of the money. So I got to juggle, and I got to do a show, and I got to act, and I got to behave in a certain way so they will like me, and they will award me the prize of the money. But I said many times, I totally disagree with that entire metaphor, right? Somebody like me, who is smart, creative, hardworking,
Good-looking.
ethical, good-looking, strong, able to get to meetings on time, clearly convey what I have produced a very important piece of work. That is rare. Money is a commodity. It's the most common commodity in the entire world. It's not a prize. You can get it out from an ATM machine. You can get it from your uncle, can give you some. Another client can give it to you. You can get money anywhere. Where can they get you? Only one place.
That's right.
You
That's right
are the
here.
prize. And the money has to win you.
Yeah, so this,
right.
and that point right there, very dramatically delivered, by the way. To me, that in particular was the turning point.
That's right.
Because when you see yourself as the prize, that you, first of all, when you're creating work that's meaningful to you, you've looked in here and say, this is the kind of work that I want to create. I'm not out there chasing, oh, this is the kind of photos that Audi likes and I want to shoot for Audi, therefore. Like if you're going to go out there and you're going to shoot work that's meaningful to you, first of all, then you can back it up. And if you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, then you actually, like you have to believe that what you've created is of value. That's why I said, see earlier conversation, where I said you better make good stuff. But once you do that and you realize that there only is one of these pieces of work in the world, then instantly, if you believe it, it's valuable. And conveying that value is important. And there's this neediness. Talk to me about the needy factor.
So what happens, and has anybody seen the show The Pitch? Did anybody get to see that?
couple folks, yeah, a couple nods
So
in the
these
pitch.
these ad agencies are amazing, right? They have these creative teams. They produce this work. They're very, very capable, some of the best of the best. Yet they walk into Marriott to pitch their work, and they say, Marriott, thank you for inviting us to this pitch. We're going to do the best work. We, the ad agency, we're going to do the best work you've ever seen. If you choose us, right, we'll take care of you. We'll appreciate your work so much. If you pay us to do some creative work, we'll work harder than we've ever done in the past. We appreciate so much the opportunity.
We'll
kiss
your ass.
We'll kiss your ass. This kind of supplicating is horrible, right? But when you understand that you're the prize, right, and they need to earn the chance to work with you, then you don't say any of these things. You don't walk in and say, thank you for inviting me. You walk in and say, I'm glad I was able to take the time to meet with you. It's a totally...
These are very specific words.
That's
I'm
right.
glad that I was able to meet with you guys today.
It's a
Do
total
you understand that
shift.
subtle shit? Like,
Yeah.
this is the psychology
right.
stuff. That's very, very subtle. And it's in conversation, it doesn't really register with people, but it registers with this croc brain part. And look, you don't have to be a jerk about it. You don't have to be flamboyant about it. You just have to say, I'm glad I was able to take the time to meet with you guys today, to talk to you about what it is that I do. And that subtle reframing, and we can talk about frames for a second, but let's not get, we're going down a good path here. This is important. So we're going down a good path of this is subtle language, and it doesn't mean anything right now, but you should be writing it down. You should be taking notes at home. So that's how you controlled the frame. You prized right when you walked in the door in a way that wasn't obnoxious. Keep going.
So for me, what I think is important is this, as you said, is a shift in frame. It's reframing the situation. I'm not here to win your money. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm going to tell you what I have, and then you will tell me why I should do business with you, why I should let you be my customer, why I should let my work end up in your hands. Okay?
That is a very important distinction. And if it comes off too hard, or I don't know what the internet's saying right now, but I don't see any. Everyone's just nodding their head yes in the audience. But if you have a little shred of doubt in your mind, if you can go back and you say, there's this thing like people they want what they don't have, they chase that which runs away from them. Talk to me about that for a second.
Sure. So, and
this is still in the croc brain, right?
That's right. So the way I came across this is just recognizing the human condition.
Okay.
People want what they can't have, chase that which moves away from them, and only value those things they pay for. And when you recognize that is really the fundamental human condition, then you start conducting yourself in that way, right? So when I said it like this, hey, I'm glad I could make some time to be here today. I'm going to show you what I have, all right? And then I'm going to find out what kind of customer you are. If I want my goods to be in your hands, if I want my work to be shepherded by you, I want to find out how you are to work with, and if we have any chemistry, and in fact, if I would ever want to work with you. Now, I don't say that.
Right. That's what's going on.
But I think that. And later, there will be a time where you can say those words exactly. You haven't earned the right to say that in the first 2 minutes of a meeting, but you sure as hell have earned the right to think it. And if you're not thinking it, you walk into a meeting, you get on the phone, everybody says, hail fellow, well met, fluids in or out, it's a meeting.
Sure.
And you find yourself saying, thank you so much for letting me be here. I'm excited to show you my work. If we do get to work together, I'll work really hard. If you find yourself thinking or saying these things, call yourself a cab and leave, because it's only going to get worse, right?
Yeah. You're not lucky to present. These people are hunting you. And their money, like thinking of it in those terms, like their money is no good. It's no good. It does no good in the world if it's not out there doing the best work it could do. And if you have the best work, they actually need to put their money on the best horse to run the race. That psychology is so powerful. I'm Chase Jarvis. I'm here with my friend Oren Klaff. If you're just joining us, we're talking about his book called Pitch Anything, which has nothing to do with selling and everything to do with conveying your big idea in a way that doesn't feel smarmy or grody or anything. It's about creating an immense amount of value and treating yourself as the prize. I'm going to go to the audience here for questions in just a few seconds. We've got them coming in via Twitter. There's actually one on the board right now that I think is pretty interesting. Oren, this is from @GoodKarmaForAll. Oren, how can I apply your philosophy, say, to crowdfunding, a site like Kickstarter, perhaps? This is like, I almost didn't ask this because I don't even know where to start to go with this because it's hard.
So when we get this a lot, and we're going to, start helping some crowdfunding guys do a better job.
Got it.
Right. So how you can apply this to crowdfunding is what happens is in crowdfunding you're starting to appeal to the masses. So your message gets incredibly diluted.
Sure.
Hey everyone, I need everybody to send me $10. It's incredibly low status. You're literally panhandling for $10. Right? So I think you've got to move this frame to, I'm giving you the opportunity, a scarce opportunity of a limited period of time.
Yeah, limited period of time and a limited amount of money. I'm only taking 50 grand, and it's only available for 90 minutes or a week or a month or whatever your thing is on.
Because you have limited resources and I have a great project, I'm going to bend over backwards, bend over backwards, and allow you to participate out of the generosity because, literally, if I take this to a VC or a bank or my Uncle Joe, he's going to fund the whole thing. This is an awesome project.
Yeah, so this is the great. So this is an opportunity. Like, I have other people who are interested in this. I would like to remain independent. If you would like to remain independent with me, let's go build this. And let's empower the opportunity to build this.
Let me just, so to answer that question really clearly, right, it is this. If I take this to any capital source, this is amazing. They're going to fund it on the spot, okay? But that comes with a bunch of corporate oversight and bureaucracy. I am, for a limited period of time, going to keep this independent and allow you to participate in a project of this quality as an independent.
Love it.
Okay? But believe me, well, I wouldn't say believe me, but this project will get funded in 10 seconds from traditional capital. I
want to do something different. So you're immediately being novel. You're prizing what it is, and you're doing so respectfully because these people are giving you money, right? But they're attracted to the same thing. Number one thing, I'll go back to, it has to be good. Don't make shitty stuff and put it out in the world because all these things become infinitely harder. Zune had a hard time versus the iPad or the iPod, for example, because it wasn't a great product. We can make a great product. It's a lot easier to do this. So, okay. Hold tight for a second because I want to hear from some folks in the audience here. The questions are rolling in pretty hot on Twitter. I see them up there on the mic or on the screen, but I got a person who's got a microphone actually in their hand. They came all the way here to share with us. So, please tell me what's up.
Hi, how you doing? I had 3 kind of prong questions.
First of all, what's your name?
I'm David.
Hi, David.
From Seattle here. So communication, point of contact, and protection. So there's so many ways to reach out to people and talk to them. What do you think is most effective? Email, phone, Twitter, and then also, who do you talk to? The CEO, the art director, the marketing director, and then lastly, you have this great idea. Like, how can you protect yourself going in if they think they can do it better in house?
Okay, let's start with protection. Forget about that. Okay?
I totally agree.
Forget. Nobody can copy you. Your idea, if it is so easy to copy and distribute and sell, probably not a.
Then your idea sucks.
Your idea sucks, right?
Let's just call it what it is. We have to I'm trying to deliver a hell of a lot of value in the 60 or 90 minute show, and we have to call it what it is. If your idea can just be come out tomorrow, and it can be done by someone who doesn't have the vision and the same experience, the same personal experience, the same photographic vision, whatever it is you are or creating, whether you're an entrepreneur or an artist or however you call yourself, if it can replicate tomorrow by somebody else, if it's a commodity, it's not a big idea. It's not a good idea.
It speaks to the indefensibility. So 100 people after the show are going to contact me and go, hey, can you help me raise money or sell my deal? But first you have to sign an NDA. I'm going to go, no, I'm never going to do that. Right? It just speaks to the defensibility of your idea. So forget about that. First contact. I recently helped a company raise $30 million when they were stuck, not able to raise any. The first day I was in there working with the CEO, I walked over to his desk, and he's writing this giant email to an investor. And I go, what are you doing? He says, I got to make this perfect. I go, let me help you out with this. He goes, oh, great, I'm going to get some help. I did go Control-A, delete. Right? And then, not copy, delete, or cut. Control-A, delete, and then I type in, are you guys in or out? In lowercase, send. And the guy almost had a heart attack, right? This is an investor. Right? So we're going to stop.
They've already heard the deal, right? They're just like he was saying, I want to replicate, I want to get all the deal points straight and blah, blah, blah.
This is after 2 months of back and forth.
So that's not your introductory email, but that's a style. Because everyone's like, I don't know this clown, delete. But if they've heard what he does, you're like, hey, are you guys in or out? So you're framing their time. You're not taking up a lot of their time. You want to get to the answer because their money is okay, but it's maybe the person's next door money might be a little bit better. Am I right?
We're going to stop supplicating, right? These giant emails, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, big explanations. What that communicates is you have all the time in the world to write giant emails, all right? What you're going to start doing is send emails with about 9 words in it, all lowercase, misspell half the words, all right? I'm busy. I don't have time using a thesaurus and checking your corporate policies to craft a proposal. We're going to talk about proposals because we're probably going to stop doing those as well by the end of this meeting we're having. All right? We don't have time to sit around crafting emails. Short, sweet, novel, intriguing, fast, maybe visual, in or out. All right, and I can give lots of examples of that, but that is going to carry you forward. So
I converted all of my outbound emails are less than 5 sentences. That is a rule that the only time an email that comes from me to someone else that will be longer than 5 sentences, if they've asked me to lay out something in detail and not make an attachment. That's the only time.
5 sentences?
Without exception.
No soup for you.
No soup. I would say my target is 1 to 2 sentences. And it's been very efficient. Now, I will also say that I get between 400 and 800 emails a day. A lot of them asking me for stuff, for time, for whatever. Now, I have a very, very intuitive, experiential way of responding to them. And if an email is this long, I actually mostly skim the first paragraph, and then I look at beyond that, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to take me not just 5 minutes to read now, but anything that requires this much explanation is going to take me. I have to pretty much donate my time to do something for this person. Can I come speak at their thing? Can I give them an internship? Now, that is absolutely at the core of my croc brain, and if it's literally just delete. I can't afford to. This is a needy thing. This is time suck. My time is valuable, and I don't do it out of arrogance. I do it out of survival. Like, I'm in that survival mode. I can't, if I read every email front to back that came into me every day, I would not be a photographer. I'm a photographer. I'm not a professional email reader, responder. Okay? And I think your point is a good one. It's a very, very good one.
I want to share an experience that opened up this universe to me. We were working on a deal, and we were getting lots of proposals on it. And my partner from a very credible bank, just call them JP Morgan, was emailing us, but it's not them, but pretend it's them. Is emailing us and just really trying to grind us down. And these are guys that we greatly respect, that if they say we're bad people, then that affects our reputation. And my partner just replies to them one day, 3 words: lose my number.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, we're dead. Our reputation's dead. Nobody talks to anybody like that. And they immediately came back, sorry, we're in, right? We're wiring the money. And so I learned that 9 words is actually a lot, because the ideal is 3. Lose my number.
So let's take this with a grain of salt. What I
Yes.
love about Oren is he pitches very extreme examples so you get the point. I think there is a lot of subtlety. We don't want to pretend
Yes.
that there's not in all of this stuff that we're crafting. And that's, when I first met Oren after he sent me his book, and this is a great example. Like, he sent me his book. Usually there's a long letter that comes. I get 3 to 5 books a week. People ask me to read them, review them, talk about them on my social channels, etc. And most of them come with a very long letter, and it's a strange book that doesn't tell me what I need to do or want to do. And they just either get given to someone who's in my studio who might want to read it, or it will get filed for maybe I'll look at this later. Mostly, it doesn't get paid attention to. Yours came in, there was no letter, there's no nothing. It was this book in a beautiful box, and it got my attention. I read page like 85, I read page 9. This is like the equivalent of me reading the first sentence and the last sentence of an email, and I was like, I took it home that night, and I read it front to back. I was intrigued. Usually there's no flowery, no BS, it wasn't packaged in a way, it was beautiful, simple, and I read it. And then I don't know how we actually got in contact, but our contact to this point has been very, very simple and direct. And I know that, and I've listened to him online, he uses these crazy examples of telling people to lose his number and then gets jobs. So that's not necessarily the best advice straight out the gate. 20 years, $500 million, $400 million are landed. But the idea of this episode is to give you some things to think about so that you can take them home and apply them to your world.
So certainly, and some of the things we're going to talk about here, you can use to sell, you can use these powers for good or evil. You can sell bad work with the things we're going to talk about here. So I just want to relate this experience, having done a creative effort like this book. My agent, as we were releasing it, she said, my other authors are driving all over the country, speaking at the Howard Johnsons at the edge of Baltimore and anywhere that will take them, and they're doing all these things to promote their book. You're not doing anything to promote the book. And I said, they should have written a good book. That's where they should have invested their time. Okay? So if you start with something that is of high caliber, that meets your standards, that hasn't been done, that's the bar I set for myself, is write about stuff that has not been written before. And Malcolm Gladwell was screwing up those plans by the week, right? Because he writes about all this stuff too. So I'd write about something, and then Malcolm Gladwell would write about it, and I couldn't publish it. So create something that is incredible. And then you use these pitching skills and combining something, an incredible piece of work, whether it's a poem or a book or photography or artwork, then pitch the hell out of it. Now you have some real opportunity.
I don't remember if it was the Guy Kawasaki episode, a previous one, of talking about, well, as soon as you put something out there, that's where your work actually starts. You have to go into a different mode, but the idea that your work is over after the thing's done, you better save some energy. I think it was Ryan Holiday, that episode. He was talking about when you make something, that's just starting to take off, and now you have to give it a bunch of lift. You have to give it a bunch of juice. It's a great question. Do you feel like you got a good answer? Okay, cool. There's another question up here from Michael Bagley, at Michael Bagley. And again, I'm Chase Jarvis, Oren Klopp. If you want to have your questions asked, hit a hashtag CJ Live on Twitter, and we'll try and get to them. At Michael Bagley says, I get this works for 6-figure deals, guys, but how does it translate when pitching in 3 or 4-figure photos? It's exactly the same, Michael. You have to create a desire. That photo has to be different. It has to be good to start with. It has to be different. It has to be intriguing. When you walk in, you have to perceive that they believe with every cell in your body, they will be better off if this is in their magazine than their competition.
That's right.
I'm trying to be a student here. How'd I do?
Okay, pretty good. You're good. I have to say you're good, right?
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, something bad happens.
Right, that's right. No, we're good.
A puppy dies somewhere.
Right. You get hooked off the stage.
Yes. All right. I like to think about it this way. And the most common version of this question is, how do I have to tweak my pitch? Whether it's big, a $100,000 deal, a $1 million deal, or a $250 deal? Do I have to tweak it for the audience? You know, whether it's a art director, the CEO of the company, or just somebody lower on buying with budget. My answer is the great pitch pulls on the primal levers of the human mind. Okay? It's the same pitch for $1 million or $250. All right?
And that's the recipe that's in your book, right? It's minute by minute on a 20-minute pitch what you want to do. And this 20-minute pitch, it's not everything's a boardroom. Like sometimes you're sitting on a couch in an ad agency with somebody.
That's right.
These things, it's the same idea though, and then you're still trying to pull on these crocodile primal levels.
On the the primal levers, and the way to think about this is a rock band.
Okay.
Right, a rock band. They get up on stage and they go, "Hello, Cleveland," and they go, "You're in Detroit, asshole." Right? He goes, "Hello, Detroit." It's the same, song. It's the same performance. They don't tune it for whether in Miami or Cleveland or Oakland or Seattle or San Diego. It's the same performance because rock music pulls on the primal condition of the human beings. And it's the same for great poetry and great photography and great pitches. You don't need to tune them when they're pull on human principles.
So if you find this is the sort of the math check. If you find yourself feeling like you need to appeal to that one, then that's actually the key for you to go, bing, this is my warning that I'm actually noodling this thing to death. And I'm going to appear desperate because I'm going to have done, do the work before. Remy talked about the briefcase technique. Come with work, but the work is the work that you know is good. You're not necessarily noodling and kissing anybody's ass. You're coming in. Yeah, do you think that when Iron Maiden plays something in Europe and they come here and they play it, they're going to change their tune, play it with different guitars? No, it's the same tune. Iron Maiden, how's that, right? Iron Maiden, nice one. Sorry. Okay, all right, sorry about that.
Nuns have no fun.
That's right. Okay. We got more questions than you asked. I'm sorry we're slow on the questions. They're coming in a lot quicker on here than I thought they would, but please, and thanks you folks in the back who are heralding those questions and for putting them through our funnel so I can see them here. You would like the microphone, or do you have it? Got the microphone. Let's hear from you.
Hi. I'd like to know what you kind of think about as a young photographer, just getting your first big gigs. How am I going to pitch myself to new clients? How do I get them to actually even open up my book or take a meeting from me because they don't know my name?
Okay.
Got it.
So this is a status issue. It's a good time to introduce
Talk
this.
about status.
You have the same problem that I do. Walk into a room or get on the phone or get on the email with somebody. They don't know who you are. You have no power, particular power. You have no leverage. They have very short amount of time. They have all the money, many options, vendors they already use. They're already busy with their existing vendors, barely have time to meet somebody new. So you're really coming in with low status. Same problem I have.
Sure, I've been there plenty.
Okay. So this is really a status problem. It's not an age problem. So we need to do some things before we pitch our work to raise our status. Status is just about attention. When President Obama walks in this room and he goes, "Chase, I have something to tell you," everybody goes, "Whoa."
He was just here last week, so.
That's right. Most high status individual on the planet wants to say something. Let's listen. Okay? Status comes from three things. Comes from celebrity, comes from power, Joint Chiefs of Staff. Head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has a lot of power. Brad Pitt, a lot of celebrity, and wealth. That's what status is derived from technically. If you're a cognitive psychologist and you know what you're talking about, and somebody says, what status? Celebrity, power, wealth. Unfortunately, we don't have that.
And it can be, I would say, it can be wealth as in connections, or it's not just dollars. There's a lot, same with power. So keep going where you're going.
But that's traditional status. So we have to manufacture what I call local star power. We have to, before we start pitching anything, we have to have people willing to pay attention to us. They will only pay attention to us to the degree we have some status. Everybody in this room, and within the sound of my voice, has to agree to stop pitching from the low status position. People aren't paying attention to you. So we have to create some status.
What are some ways that we can do that?
Okay, so there's some very specific things that you can do yourself with your age and your portfolio. So number one is control time, right? I have a very short amount of time. I am going to pitch you my portfolio in about 3 minutes. Then I'm going to allow you 2 minutes of Q&A. That's all the time I have for you. Then I have to bounce. Holy fuck.
But that's a shot, right? So that's a shot, and you might get shot down, you might get laughed at, and you can tweak his message. You know, maybe it's not 3 minutes and 2 minutes, and maybe it's not Q&A. But the point is the same. This is why I like Oren, who's come from a different world. The concepts are exactly the same. When I walk in and do the same thing, and I've framed it in a way that I sometimes get to enter with a little more status than I used to. So maybe I've seen this person before. Not always, though. I have plenty of times come from a low status position. You have to do something that gets their attention. Controlling the time is one. You're busy. That's the short email. All this, you see these themes coming here, right?
That there specifically is getting control over the time frame. That is a sophisticated executive skill set. Controlling time, understanding time, setting an agenda, and allowing specific people to do specific things within that time frame. That is sophisticated, and immediately you'll get a status bump. All right? The next thing we already talked about. I'm glad I was able to give you a few minutes of my time. All right? I'm interested to learn more about you guys, and then we might actually say something negative about the client that you're pitching. Push them away, because that will give another status bump. They'll go, who talks like that? Certainly nobody who's needy.
Yeah, seriously. When I saw the big long email, it's like, needy, love you, you're awesome, but needy, like time suck.
So here's the third thing. I think there were two before, but here's the third thing you can do is really say, I don't even know if I like you guys.
This is awesome.
You mother...
No.
I don't even know if I like you guys. That is something that still has to be figured out.
But it's sort of it's surprising.
That's right.
Yeah, and if I'm going to tie it back to the creative world, which is, here's my stuff. If I'm going to do this sort of work, it has to be, you guys have to be behind it. You have to believe in the work. The work doesn't start just morphing and changing and whatever. So you have to, you're qualifying them as a buyer in the process of, and you can do it Oren's way, or you can do it your own way. But the point is, you have to qualify them at the end of the thing. This is awesome. We were talking about this at dinner last night. We were talking about it upstairs. At the end of showing your book, or presenting, or whatever, if you're an architect, you presented the plans, you presented the concept. If you're a photographer, you printed pictures. The worst thing you can possibly do is ask them, so what'd you think? Because what does that do automatically? It puts them, you have given them the ability to judge you, which is the worst thing you can do. Tell them what you should do.
Yeah. So let's start putting this all together.
Okay.
Okay? So now you can start to see a framework building. We know to get that first contact, which is the question in the email, just something like 10 o'clock Wednesday for 10 minutes, will that work? Done. And people will respond, no, it doesn't work. How about 11 Thursday? That's it. No big diatribe. 10 o'clock on Wednesday, will that work? So then it's a meeting or a phone call. We know not to just start pitching. We know to say these things like, I'm glad I was able to find the time to spend with you. Not as a gimmick. None of this is about gimmicks. Is because we literally are busy And we are literally are glad we could find the time to spend with this crappy company, who only has money, which we don't care about because it's available anywhere. All right? We're going to start doing some things to prize ourselves, reframe them as a commodity. All they have is money, big crappy company. We're the prize. We're going to do some things to elevate status by controlling time, getting some frame control, and having them react to us. So we control the agenda, all right? Then when we feel like we've prized and we've got some status, then we're going to give an incredible pitch, a master performance. It's not a sale. We don't care what they think, because this is a performance like a rock band or a great comedian or a masterful poet. This is your pitch, and you're not going to tune it. During the 10 minutes or the 5 minutes or the 15 minutes you're going to give your pitch, you're not going to tune it for that particular situation. You're just going to give it in its fullness and its greatness. Now, watch what happens. You've established some status, and now you have a platform to pitch from. You give an incredible pitch that is a masterful performance, and that pitch includes the big idea, the problem that you address, your solution, the economics of your solution, the differentiation, some time constraints, and really how it works and the details of it. All compressed to, let's just say, 10 minutes. At the end of having done that, raised your status, giving a 10-minute pitch that includes these elements that a business person wants to see in a business pitch, your status will be as high as it will ever be in that meeting. And when you achieve that zenith, you will now have earned the right to say, so you can see what I have, right? It's incredibly valuable. I'm the only person that has it. Okay? My time is limited. I'm very interested to learn a little bit about you. Now something amazing will happen. I got excited.
No, I love it. It's great. It's amazing. But see, I will articulate that there is a belief. Again, he's in part theater because he's trying to make a point. But you adapt this to your own style. The point is that I've got this thing. If I gave this to you or let you buy it, how would you use it?
Exactly. So now instead of saying, "So what do you think?
Do you like it? Do you like me?
Do you like it? Is it good? Is it a fit? What do you guys think?" You're never going to say that. You're going to say, "So you could see what I have. I'm interested to learn about you guys. What's it like to work with you? Are you good? Are you a good customer? Are you constantly just trying to buy stuff at the lowest possible price, or do you like your vendors to profit? Tell me about yourselves." Now, when I do it this way, one of the first times that I got really good at this, the guy that I was pitching to, boom, knocked over his coffee. Right? And I was like, oh, that was weird. I've seen that happen 15 times. People spill their drinks. Why? Because they get spastic. Because now you've just said, what you've just done is lay down the gauntlet, and you go, that's how you pitch a deal. Now tell me about yourselves. And they don't have a way to pitch themselves to you at that same level. And now they start supplicating, and they go, no, we're awesome buyers. Like, we take care of our vendors, we pay on time. They'll start selling you.
It's what I mean. It's incredible.
They're trying to climb up to you, the level of status, because what they don't understand is you have just given a master performance
with great work.
With great work, and you understand people want what they can't have, and so you've said you can't have it. And people chase that which moves away from them, and you've just said, I'm going to bounce out of here in 5 minutes. And people only value those things that they pay for, and you've just said, you're going to pay for this. Right? But they don't know these things. They're just reacting in a human way. Boom, spill the coffee. Oh, well, let me tell you about us. We love our vendors to profit, and we give a purchase order on the spot, and we always buy more, and I'm a really good guy to work with, and if you will work with us,
I've seen this. I haven't seen much coffee spilled because I'm probably not in the same category. But like these things actually happen when you say, "So, I want to know what it'd be like to actually work with this agency." You know, I've heard some great things. I've also heard it can be challenging.
So
Then they're like,
Yeah.
well, then they have to sit forward. And so wait a minute, and then they do say, wait, I don't actually have my pitch. Or if they're comfortable with what, like this is how, in part how you're qualifying them. If they're really comfortable and say, and actually they deliver something that's great and responsive, then you have like a dialogue, and then you know that you're actually working with someone that you actually probably would like to work with. But they have done this qualification. And all this is so subtle. Talking to someone who's had 20 years experience doing it, I've been in the creative field pitching my own work, my own vision for a long time. And I liked your question. It was like, how do I do this without any experience or a small portfolio or whatever? The same principles apply. You just might have to take smaller shots at it. Or you can go big and burn down in flames. Or but the point is, and that's why I brought someone, this is one of the favorite things about Chase Jarvis Live, is about we can bring someone from a different industry and learn from them in a way that our industry is unwilling to look up. So many of my peers, and for a long time me, thought that these outside influences were irrelevant. They are actually where I get all of my ammunition. I cannot say it enough. And I have to go to the questions. I know you want to keep
Yes.
talking. Give me just a second here. If there's any more questions out in the crowd, I want to know. I'm going to go to the internets real quick here. Stuart Key, at Stuart Key, says, do these tactics translate outside the U.S.? I think the human brain is probably even maybe better off outside the U.S. So these are human fundamental things, right? Address that.
I mean, I would address this in this way. Believe in your fucking work is not a tactic.
Well said.
All right.
Period. I think that might get retweeted. Yeah, I mean, literally, believing in your work is not a tactic. If that's not getting retweeted right now, I'm going home, because that's beautiful. So, Stuart, that is not a tactic. Okay, that's a great answer. That's just too good. We have to. If you open that anymore, it's going to get worse from there, because that was the best possible answer. Let's go to the crowd. Who's got the microphone? Any questions that we can hear from you out there? No questions in the crowd? I told you guys you needed to have some. There's one back there. Sorry. I think they're doing a good job of ordering you, and I'm just not keeping up with it.
Going with not being at a high status to start with, what are some other ways you can go to someone with such a high status, like a bigger company, let's say REI or something like that?
Sure.
Who says you're not high status? Who told you that? You told yourself. Nobody else told you.
Exactly.
What do you do?
So I need a...
What do you do? What's your work?
He's a photographer.
I'm a photographer and videographer.
Is it good?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. Yes, it is good work.
There you go.
All right.
I think point's made.
You want to see my photography? Right? You want to talk about somebody with low status? Let me show you some of my photography. Done with a pancake lens on a Lumix 210. All right? It's the most light I can manage on the IA setting, which goes, oh, I see a cat. I'll adjust to cat mode. My photography is low status. All right? You're a good photographer. You have real work. There's not a lot of people who have your vision, your creativity, your commitment to go do this. That is valuable. That is high status. What do they have?
Money.
They have money. Money is a commodity. It is available anywhere. All right? You're not in any case, by any stretch of the imagination, in a low status position. Now, what the issue is you can't get them to pay the amount of attention to you that you would like. That's really the issue. It's not that you are low status. Okay? So I think your job will be to get some frame control over this situation. Before you're introducing your work, you need to frame it up as valuable and yourself as busy, okay, and your get some moral authority. You just need some frame control over this situation. You don't need any more status. Your work is good. You're committed. You're honest. You're high integrity, right? You deliver on what you say you will, and you have a particular vision and a good eye. That's incredible. It's valuable. You're the prize. They need to start winning some of your time. So the 3 things you're going to do, right, is start making yourself scarce. You're going to tell them they got to pay for your time. It's not free. Okay? And then you're going to tell them if there's not some commitment from them, you're going to go somewhere else. Okay? And I know that's hard to do, and there's specific ways to do that so it doesn't feel bombastic. Right? But the other thing that when we talked about over here, you just got to build a great pitch for your work.
Great work, and it has to be novel and something they've not seen. I don't know an art director who doesn't look at something that they've never seen before. Like, honestly, that's most of the best work that I've ever landed has been from me doing a project outside of what they normally look at. It's relevant, but it's just not. It's not like one-to-one relevant. They can see they can do 2 jumps. So there's some sophistication there, and I put it in front of them. Songs for Eating and Drinking is a great example. Like, I'm showing something they haven't seen anywhere else, and that they know that the only place they have seen it, it's novel, it's unique and good, and the only place they can get it is from me. And so you have to find out what that is. Look in here, package this up nicely, give them a teaser, get the meeting, apply all these principles, and again, it's like a formula, and you have to take all the human subtleties and apply them. Okay, don't just walk in and, we've talked about it 100 times. I keep qualifying. I'm going to stop. But does that answer your question, Teddy? I think. Okay.
And let me just follow up quickly for this guy here.
Sure.
All right. I don't want to send you into a gunfight with a sharpened pencil. Okay. Where I think you can rewatch this and apply some of this stuff, but where you're going to get a lot of leverage is building initially a 5-minute real pitch for your work. Here's the big idea, and I don't know your work, right? But when you photograph buildings in a certain light from a certain angle in urban environments, you can capture something that has never before been seen, and it is quite amazing.
Concrete, simple, different. Like, who says you can photograph a building differently with different light? Not many people. But if you believe that, and you can present work that looks like it, they've never heard that shit before. People say, "Look, here's my portfolio. Would you like to look at it?"
So then following that, yeah, for sure, because I don't know this space as well as you guys do.
I love how you're applying it to, like, photographing buildings and light. It's beautiful.
Whatever.
Keep going with it.
It's
awesome.
Right? So that's the big idea. What's the problem? Well, try this yourself. It's very difficult to do. It takes days to set up. You need permits that can't be gotten. Easier to get a permit to climb the Chinese part of the Himalayas than it is to photograph the IBM Center from, Tower Avenue. It's very hard to do, right? So what's the solution? You got to move fast. You got to be innovative. You got to be willing to run from the police. You got to be willing to stay overnight in jail and eat white bread and Spam sandwiches for weeks on end, waiting for the light to clear and that perfect ray of sunbeam.
Can we give that one, like the Spam sandwiches and the white bread? That's awesome. Your point is made.
Yes.
No, I love it though, man. I love it. Again,
you know where to send the commission check.
That's right.
You bastard. All right.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of questions coming on the internet. I'm going to try and burn through just a couple so we can get some people included. Specifically, Rebecca Ruiz Photo asked a great question. How does this apply to a portrait photographer who isn't looking for an agency? Same thing. It's human. You want to be different and novel, respect someone's time, and tell them that what you're going to do is going to be different, and do the same thing. Interview them. Like, I've shot some weddings, or I've shot some portraits that were unpleasant, and I'm at a position in my career where I get to choose who I work with. And so I'd like to hear a little bit more about you. What kind of photos, I take these kinds of photos. So hopefully you like these, otherwise we're probably not a good match. Assuming you like them, what are some things that then you invite them to qualify themselves? That is a simple thing, and I think that answered her question. I got a question for you.
Yes.
Speaking of, pitches and whatnot. Let's talk about failed pitches. I've blown plenty of presentations where I didn't get the job. I like to get the job, and if I don't get the job, I'm upset. I've blown it before. Talk to me, because I can't really. I can.
Well,
I can picture you.
You
blowing
have to
it.
think about it this way. Somebody with a baritone voice like mine and these good looks cannot fail at a pitch. So, no. Let me take you in the Wayback Machine to my first pitch on my own without the support of my partner.
Sure.
Sat down in front of 5 guys, and I got nervous, and I forgot everything, and I couldn't speak. What you see here in front of you is manufactured. I was not born this way. This was created over time and many, many, many failures. Literally, that first one should have ended my career. I forgot our entire deal and was not able to speak.
There you go.
Okay.
And here's my subtle subpoint, which is you sort of live to fight again. It's like if you do take some big swings with a short email, inviting them like, I've got this great photograph. I've got, I can do this for you. I've got 10 minutes on Tuesday. Are you available? Like, what's the rejection for there? It's small rejection. And I'd rather have a lot of small failures where you're going out there, or a couple of big ones to learn from. But you have to. Michael Jordan said you have to shoot to score. Right?
Now, that's right. So, and that's a cartoon example. So, but I want to give you the bookends. I'm going to give you a real failure.
Sure.
So the bookends are really my first on my own big deal pitch. I forgot the whole deal and couldn't speak. That was not good, right? By every measure.
Sure.
Like, there was nothing good about that. It's not how hard you land, it's how high you bounce. Well, I don't bounce off of concrete. I just land and go, and cry like a girl, right? So, on the other end, today I walk in a room with billionaires and I go, hey guys, how's everything going? I'm trying to decide who I should throw off the island first. Maybe I'm going to ask you to leave. Okay? So those are the bookends. Complete failure to complete frame control. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody do that. It's born of a lot of experience and adventure.
Adventure, and there's a lot. Like if you read his book, he goes through and talks about this, and it's like there's humor involved. So you can just say, with straight face, and then I'm just kidding. Thanks, great to meet you guys. Because what they did is they all went, they all flinched, right? They all flinched.
And then if you really want to have fun with it, you go, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Get out of here. And then they call security and throw me out. But, those are the bookends. But let's talk about a real failure. I mean, even this year, right? And this is a real problem for creatives as well, is I went in to talk to a company about helping them do a deal. Mm-hmm. And they said, we're going to look at a couple firms like you, and then we're going to have you submit a proposal, and then you'll go to our board and present to our board. And I said, do you know who I am that you have asked me to submit a proposal, a written proposal, and then prance around in front of your board? Hell no, I'm not going to do that. That is just not going to happen. If you want to work with someone like me, you talk to me and you say, we love you, Oren. We want to work with you, and we don't care about any of these other guys. You're our sole choice. And when you can say that to me, then I will work with you.
And then what did they say? They said, there's the door.
They said, kick rocks. Okay. So,
this is what I was talking about. Like he uses a different technique than you might use. However, but not like, but what this episode is about the psychology of it.
So,
right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you failed because you weren't. There's a little. You have to play within some.
That's right.
Some frameworks.
So companies have rules, and they have a bureaucracy, and sometimes you have to play by those rules. You can't change the way a company works. You could try, but you end up where I am without the deal. So I believe that when a company asks you to do an RFP, submit a proposal, a written application, not talk to your actual client one-on-one, that's horrible, right? And that is supplicating, that is the worst situation that you can get yourself into.
And it's actually, it's subtly intentional. If you read any Michel Foucault, he's a philosopher who talks a lot about the institution. And there are these subtle things that are actually designed for something, but they're really to sort of get you to a low status, so that you, like when you come in the door. I know some companies that do this. I've heard of people who walk in there, like they make you fill out a form, and then you have to read this thing that says, we expect the lowest price of any of your vendors, and then you go to a different room, and it's like they literally like beat you down before you even earn the ability to talk to somebody. So
that for me was a failure. The right thing to do, and now we've corrected that, is to say, listen, I understand you have a process, and I will observe your process. But I want you to understand, if you want the low price, go to Costco. They have it there. All right? Let's not get into a process that is not going to work for us. So one is, we will follow the paperwork, we'll submit the proposal, and we will meet with your team or the board. However, along the way, we are going to be having dialogue. You are going to have a clear understanding that we don't, we may be the low price, but we haven't priced it out yet. If that is the key determinant of your decision, we should not start this process. So although you can obey the proposal process, you've got to still have some denials and defiances to get frame control.
Yeah, this is in the book as well. There's like subtle, and you can, in order to master this, you will need to understand humor and some subtle defiances. Like, what does it mean to subtly defy? If someone says if you have to submit an invoice to get paid, you probably shouldn't try and mess with that process, because it's probably that's how things get worked. But if you sense a threat or a crack where something might be something that you don't have to do, try and find those things and subtly defy and say, you know what, that's not a way I'm comfortable operating, or I normally don't operate that way. If that's the decision-making thing, then I'm probably going to be out. If you guys can work with a different way, here's the way. And it has to make sense, right? But there's a couple of subtle ways where you can just change things a little bit. So you say, I'm not actually going to kiss your ass. I'm not the guy who's here just going to, you say put one foot there, I put one foot there. And if you can do it with humor, even better. And that takes some mastery. It takes some learning. I got to keep asking questions.
Yeah,
I know you're.
That's right. That's right.
You would talk
going.
for 10 hours to this audience if I let
right.
you, which I love. That's why you're
That's
here.
right.
You're passionate. I
I'm
love
trying to sell some creative.
You got a question. We're in the audience here. Actually, give me just 1 second. We got to get a camera on you. If you hold that question, because I want to go over here. There's another one from Matt Lightholt that says, how do you build a relationship with someone of higher status without being annoying? I'm going to answer this one because I'm going to let you have this one.
Yes.
How do you do that? You give them something that they don't have. And everybody doesn't have something. And you understanding what that person doesn't have, and hopefully you have it in abundance, whether it's an introduction is probably the best thing you can do. Think of if you're trying to connect a high status person with another high status, giving them another high status introduction is about the best thing you can do. If you have a warm intro, like you have, we have the same, you know Larry, I know Larry too, he said you're a great guy. Hey listen, I know what you do, and I know what President Obama does, and he's a friend of mine, so I thought you guys might want to connect and hit send. Don't ask for anything. You build that status relationship so that you've given them something that they don't have, and it's the thing that it might be your prized possession, or you have to be tight with Obama to be able to give that gift, but that's the way you do it, Matt Lightholt, and ask nothing in return. And you can come back and play another day. Now when you do need something, there's this reciprocity. He feels or she feels that you gave them something, they therefore owe you something.
I want to add for 30 seconds something. That's why there's a whole chapter on status. Sometimes we have guys saying, I'm going to introduce you to this deal. And we say, no,
right.
Don't introduce us. Because we don't want an introduction from them.
Right.
Because it's a low status introduction. That's going to frame us as people who work with that nitwit.
Right.
Right? And if we want the deal, we want a high status introduction, not from a low status source. So status is really important in how much attention somebody will pay to you in those first few minutes when you're pitching your big idea, trying to get through the crocodile brain, which is the gatekeeper of the mind, into a real conversation with people and their neocortex. So that's kind of how it all ties together.
I love it. We're inside of 10 minutes, so I'm going to start moving a little faster here. Again, thank you for everything. Back to you now for your question. I'd love to hear it.
Hi, My name is Naja. I just graduated just Thursday from my school. I got my degree in photography.
Hey, let's give a round of applause. The degree in photography. Nice job, Nadia.
And I'm glad you brought up the fact about failed attempts to pitch. I believe I failed miserably at my portfolio on Thursday. My question is, how do you recreate a failed pitch? Is it possible?
Definitely, I mean, we just call it a tear down, right? It's, football teams run tape, right? Very hard, but you got to run tape on those. You got to recreate it and then have somebody reflect back to you what was good and what was bad. I mean, you've got to get a second set of eyes on it. So absolutely, you have to give that same horrible pitch and have somebody tear it down. You got to be open to
and rebuild
to
it,
that.
like literally rebuild it, picture for picture, or word for word, or arrangement for arrangement, and you have to seek somebody who had similar status to the person you blew, and say, what could I do better? What could I do different? Such that when you go back into that environment, you have the confidence of having worked with someone at that level, and then you can believe deeply in the work and do all the things that we've been talking to.
So should I re-pitch back to the person that I failed?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
you go, here's like my personal experience. I've done this. I have tried to win, someone reached out and said, we think you might be the right guy for the job. The treatment that I presented, they didn't like. I did some prizing at the end, and I don't, like, without going into details, totally understand. Maybe our paths will cross again someday, really appreciate it. Went away, did some work, accidentally, for their competitor that was kick-ass. Because what does that give me? That gives me their attention. So the best way to recover is to go out and do good work. Get their attention, earn their status, so that when you do have another meeting, you get the job. Another thing on pricing, for example. Most of the people who come to me with a price-based thing, I can smell it. And I say, I sense that price is a prime driver for you. And I don't sell a commodity. So I can guarantee you, it's not like I don't just say I think, it's like I can guarantee you you're going to be able to get a much better price from someone else. If you have a project in the future that is expressly creative, it is something that defines your brand, I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to make great work.
And that right there, if you can roll tape on this and write that down, that is perfect. All right? To the degree you can find the moment to say that, you will be prizing yourself. Because everybody, by and large, cares about that.
They come
as
back.
Good as it gets.
They come back. I promise you they come back. And on the other hand, if someone says, I only have this much, if you do it this time, there's going to be more money for you next time. Anybody in the audience ever heard that? Show me hands if you've ever heard that. All right, almost everybody. That is a sign that they are a bad client. I have never seen a client move from paying you in particular. I've never seen them say, I'm going to give you this much money, and the next time, when there's all sorts of money, I'm going to give you that job too. Because what they say in their crock brain is, that dude's cheap. They're not a good photographer. They're willing to sell their services for $500 instead of $5,000 or $500,000. If I have $500,000, am I going to go to the dude who did it for $500? No way. I'm going to the top. And you are not the top because you came in at a certain level. It's almost impossible for you to elevate in someone's mind. The only way is what I said earlier. You step outside, you do kick-ass work for somebody else, then they see that you did it, and they say, oh shit, I had a chance to hire that person.
Now,
That's how you do it. We're inside of 4 minutes.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
30
if
seconds.
you want to elevate your game on top of that, and this is what I might do in that situation, is say, I don't allow you to focus on price. Okay? Because that is going to hurt your company. It's going to hurt the quality of your work. And right now, I'm going to fix a problem you're having. I'm not allowing you to focus on price. And let's move on. Okay?
Controlling the frame. You had a question. We got to be quick here. I've got 3.5 minutes. I love the intensity of the conversation here. So keep it
So we
coming.
come in here and we are going to leave with a new mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Now with our current clients, how do we transition into this state of status when we have already introduced ourselves at maybe a lower status?
This is great. 5 words. I had to count them. There's a new world order.
Okay, honestly, like, my suggestion, there's a new world order, is the tact.
That's right.
Okay, but the mentality is when they call, I'm swamped.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be able to work with you on this one. Thank you so much. And if you look at your client list, and if it's the one that are down here, the ones that you don't actually like, then you challenge them to pay you a lot more money. And if they are unable to meet that challenge, say, you know, sorry, I've been doing a lot of work that's been nationally recognized. I'm winning a lot of awards, and frankly, those jobs pay a lot better. If you have a different budget that you can pull from to accommodate, you know, my new structure, that would be awesome. If not, I got no hard feelings. I've enjoyed so much working with you. And then they're going to go, oh shit, I don't have that money, and then they're going to go away. And when they do have money, they're going to call you then. So you build a little beautiful, simple dynamic there, and I think you've got them.
This is a
the 5
Hallmark
words.
card. If you love something, let it go, and if it loves you, it will come back. All right?
I got 2 minutes. That is a beautiful show. I want to, boy, and we could just continue. They're pouring in. I want to announce the winner, the people who've been retweeting. I wonder what that quote was that got retweeted the most. And sure enough, the winner is "Believing in Your Work is Not a Tactic" by Susan, @Susan, Suzen. And that was the most popular quote retweeted by far. I'm reading here on the screen. We're going to send an email to production@chasejarvis.com, and we will connect you with Oren Klaff for an hour of his time, which is very, very valuable. And thank you for being here. I'm going to come back to you in just a second and say thanks one more time. I want to say a huge thanks to HP for supporting the show and helping me make the world a more creative place. And again, to Broncolor. Actually, a special note about Broncolor. If you're going to, or if you're thinking about going to New York for the Photo Plus trade show, I highly encourage it. It's a great show. The folks at Photo Plus do a great job. And Broncolor will be having a great thing there called, it's going to be in the show, it's down the street, but Shoot NYC. It's a great, great workshop, and it's on the 24th and 25th, or 25th and 26th. I think, in New York City. So check that out. And again, a huge thanks to Manfrotto. Welcome to the show. We're so glad you're a new sponsor. If you're out there on the internet and you've liked what you've seen, Oren has given a special URL for you to find out more. It's pitchanything.com/chase.
That's right.
You can go there and sign up for some more of his workshops if that's interesting to you. Gosh, what else? I think I'm nailing all my things on there. I've got everything. Don't forget, if you like what you see, sign up. You'll find out first about these episodes from my email newsletter. I got no more. I do want to, however, and especially you folks out there on the internet, we can hear you clapping, but the folks in the live studio audience, please give a warm thank you to Oren Klaff.